You're on the air.
Hi, Mr. Trafficant.
How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. I watched you yesterday there in C-SPAN, and I really liked what you had to say. And I do believe I followed your trial up here in Cleveland, and I do believe that was a scam. You know, with them not being taking people from the Mahoning Valley itself.
Yeah, very good point. They didn't let anybody from my particular region on that, and it's not important that the be tried by jury or peers. Peter, those people not only would know me, they'd know the veracity of the witnesses that testified against me. What bothered me, though, I really wasn't convicted by a prosecutor. I was convicted by a judge. This was not a very popular thing to say because she's going to sentence me. But she basically prosecuted me and convicted me and will now sentence me. She voir-dired, by that I mean 9 witnesses under oath outside the presence of the jury that then did not let her those 9 people testify before the jury. I wasn't able to really mount a defense. Now, what bothers me down here, Peter, I'm getting basically the same thing from the committee, and I think they're trying to expedite this whole process. The truth of the matter is the counsel for the committee seems to be pretty much in the same mode as the Justice Department, and I think everybody's afraid of the damn Justice Department and the IRS. Keep this in mind. If you're a judge appointed to a lifetime term, the only way you're going to get out of office is the IRS or FBI or Justice Department to investigate you. They say Congress can only remove. Congress doesn't go out and investigate these judges. So I think these judges are beholden to the government. By that, government, I mean the executive branch, Justice, Treasury, IRS. Everybody's afraid to death of them. I think it's time to kick them in the crotch. So no, I wasn't tried by a jury of my peers. I was really convicted by a judge. She's going to sentence me. I truly expect to go to jail July 30th. And they're saying if they sentence me in Ohio, I can still run for ballot. I'm going to make this statement. I may be the only American in the history of the United States that may possibly be elected to Congress while being incarcerated. I still have a good following. It was a railroad job. As this caller from Newton Fall knows, it was a very unusual trial, and I was targeted. I was targeted as the only American in the history of the United States to ever defeat the Justice Department in a RICO case pro se without being an attorney. And I'll tell you what, I think it's time to fight him, kick him in the crotch, and take our country back.
Why didn't you hire an attorney?
Why should I hire an attorney? I know what happened. I think I articulate the issues quite well. I beat him before, the only one to ever beat him. There's very few people ever win a RICO case. Tell me how many attorneys with all these big names. And I have a friend, Richard Detour, in a superseding indictment involved with me, and he's a great patriot. They violated his rights to death. He spent over $500,000, and all they did is file 3 motions for him, and then asked to be recused from the case because he wouldn't give him another $100,000. He's never gone to trial. So I'm a millionaire because I didn't hire some mouthpiece who's afraid to have the IRS audit them every year if you are a political target. And I want to say this to the American people. In the old Soviet Union, the KGB would come out and shoot Peter right behind the head. In America, they'd just destroy you in a court and take away everything you have. And quite frankly, this is from Jim Trafficant to the IRS and the FBI. Go to hell. You know, shove your case up your subpoena. Do what you got to do with me. This one America don't give a damn is not afraid of you. Period.
Jackson, Tennessee, Republican.
Yes, sir. Mr. Trafficant, I watched yesterday, and I called every friend I had that was at home to watch. I believe, especially with the Ethics Committee, that this is the pot calling the kettle black. I don't think you've done anything wrong. I think you're a hero. I think a lot of people that called in, I tried to call in yesterday and couldn't get in, believe the same way I do. And I think the people on the Ethics Committee and the people in Congress in general need to watch what they're saying and what they're doing. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. I think members who support me can call their members in Congress and say, hey, don't vote the guy out. Give him a chance. He's got an appeal process. And something that popped up here, Peter, 2 things. Number one is they've now found the link between the judge who tried me, Judge Wells, and her husband, Attorney Clark. And one of the key principals in my case, the Cafaro family, paid a lot of fees to Squire, Saunders, and Dempsey law firm out of Cleveland. And that should have been reported, and she probably should have been removed as a judge and removed herself. That's a conflict. Second of all, there's some real questions over the subpoena of Richard Detour. to the Ethics Committee process, and two of the Ethics Committee staff, I don't want to cause them problems, they did lie, and they should be put under oath. They said that Mr. Dieter waived his privacy rights to his medical records. He never did. I have those particular documents here. I have filed a motion to dismiss the statement of alleged violations. I'll give it to you. You can put it on the thing here. But Ms. Sargent and Ms. Walker should be put under oath because they said that Mr. Dieter waived some rights to his physician. He never did. His physician has corroborated to us that he never did. And we've now found out several things through the trial. Mr. Cafaro, who's supposed to be involved in this big conspiracy, who basically lied about giving me money, has given money to many of the big politicians down here in the form of cash or gifts. That has never come out. But second of all, he paid for the attorney fees of the person who come in and testified and more or less sang out of the same hymn book. But what bothers me specifically about this particular case is that Mr. Cafaro and his family and his company had a relationship with the judge's husband. It's a law firm. So, you know, you can only go so far, and I am mad as hell. I'm not afraid to go to jail. I could go ahead and throw myself at the mercy and say, look, I did this, I did this, I did this. I didn't do a damn thing. I am not guilty. I will die in jail. And like the Salvati case, I'm sure you're familiar with, 30 years in prison for murder when the FBI knew he didn't murder the guy in Boston. His partner who went to jail with him died of old age in prison. Now they let him out. Thank God to Dan Burton, who finally looked into the case. But the FBI now admitted that they lied. They had an informant who knew that Salvati was not the killer. What do you do with Salvati? This will pop up in a trafficking case. But I'm not going to be intimidated by these bastards. I want the IRS abolished and thrown out with a 15% national retail sales tax, exempt all people up to the poverty level. Harvard did a study and said 24% of the cost of American automobiles is a tax code. If we would change to a consumption tax, we wouldn't even raise prices, and even the dope dealers would be paying taxes. Second of all, I have a big problem with the Hispanic community, and a bunch of people in Congress of Hispanic descent have come after me, and I have nothing against Hispanics. But I'll be damned if people jump the fence 300,000 a year, then make them citizens to get their votes like Gore and Clinton did. I think they should be thrown the hell out. I think we should put our troops on our border, straighten our country out, take care of America first, and quite frankly, do what they're going to do with me, but I'm not going to take the bullshit. I have had it. You're talking to a guy who has had it. I have a lot of great friends in Congress, a lot of great respect for members of Congress, but Congress better wise up. They're looked at as an advisory board by the Justice Department and the IRS, and no matter what law they write, the IRS and the Justice Department and the Treasury Department go ahead and interpret those laws and enforce those laws relative to what they think is best for America, and they prey on America. They think America is their country. The American people have to take their country back. Period. And that little guy with the ears was right. And I think if Mr. Perot would have come out with more of a program to back that up, this country would have had a political revolution that it deserves.
Orwell, Ohio, good morning.
Yes, I grew up in the Warren-Youngstown area. I think I understand it pretty well. And Congress needs to look the word ethical up in the dictionary. The Congress is not ethical. As a humble 64-year-old grandmother, I do not trust the government. The government has no conscience, and the IRS is a Gestapo. And if trafficant goes to jail, I think all the Congress should be in jail with him.
Well, thank you very much, Orwell. But you know what bothers me? One thing, Peter, about this jury, not self-serving, but I'm pretty well known, probably recognized as well as anybody without being chairman around the country. And these 12 jurors said they knew nothing of me, and basically I know they lied about that. But I can't blame the jury because they weren't able to hear the 9 witnesses that rebutted the statements made, rebutted the statements made by the witnesses. But let me say this. All evidence against me was hearsay. Now, if you believe that they went back 15 years trying to find one cash transaction by me, that they didn't have a thorough investigation, they had no wiretaps on my phones, no hidden microphones, no admission statements, they didn't bring an FBI or IRS investigator to the stand so that I could even cross-examine them, I have never seen a farce such as this in my life. And let me tell you, this is a RICO case, a racketeering case. We've taken the standard down that a group of housewives could be charged with a RICO for conspiring to buy Kellogg's breakfast cereal, for crying out loud. This has gone to the extremes. I think that Chairman Burton is looking into prosecutorial misconduct in this case. I think he's looking into judicial conduct. I think there's people that are beginning to look into it. They're afraid because of the politics with me and what's going on around the country. And keep this in mind. And this is a real hell of a problem for me. I was the #1 target out of 535 by American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee. I am not an anti-Semite, but I've been accused of one because I brought John Demjanjuk home from Cleveland, who was convicted of being Ivan the Terrible and sentenced to die in Cleveland. Not one member of Congress would look into it because they said, Peter, it was, quote-unquote, too sensitive. Well, certainly it was very sensitive in the late 30s in Germany with the Jewish people who were being exterminated. Someone should have looked into that. I looked into the matter with Demjanjuk. Demjanjuk was not Ivan the Terrible. The Israeli Supreme Court taught us about justice, Peter. They released him on the plane to me, and I brought him home, and I've been targeted. #1 out of 535 by the powerful American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee. And quite frankly, they own most of the newspapers, they own most of the TV stations, and most of their ads come from there, and I am tired of it. I have nothing against the Jewish people, and I want them to get off my ass now.
Will you be able to call witnesses today at the hearing?
Only 2. I should have been able to bring about 12 witnesses. A woman named Linda Kovacic and Sandy Ferrani and Michael Robertson, a former Secret Service agent who handled money, fraudulent money transactions and investigated for the Secret Service. And he said he'd never seen anything like it on the circumstantial evidence that they built. And he was absolutely sick. I call him Clint Eastwood because he tells it like it is. He's a great patriot. And I want everybody to know that this little pin that I'm wearing was given to me by a Marine, you know, J.D. Wilkins, who works with me. And let me tell you a story, and I think it's the plight of America. We had a 4-day war in Desert Storm, and people come home to great parades. J.D. Wilkins was in a foxhole in Vietnam. His partner was blown up and killed. His right arm was basically shattered. He had a bullet wound through his left leg, and he laid in a rice paddy for 4 days. He didn't know if the Viet Cong were going to find him or the Marines. Thank God it was the Marines. They never leave their dead. Boy, do I love the Marines. And they never leave their wounded. And he gave me this the day before I come down here, a little bit of tear in his eyes. He's not that kind of guy. He's a great Marine. And he gave me this, and he says, you're in a hell of a fight. I'm not a Marine, folks, but I'm wearing this for J.D. And he says, I want you to wear this. And you know, he reminds me a little bit of Oliver North. And Oliver North did the same thing. He looked the camera in the eye. Why are we afraid to look the camera in the eye? Why are we afraid of our government? America, why are you afraid of the government? Why don't you want a letter from the IRS? Let's tell it like it is. Is it our country? Then why are we afraid of these bastards? Why don't we throw them out, and why don't we change America and take America back to the republic it should be? And that's all I'm saying. I don't have a whole lot of forum left, Peter. So straighten out here.
We'll get back to America.
Don't give me any bad calls. I'm not in a good mood.
Dallas, Texas, Democrat.
Go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Trafficant.
How you doing?
Peter. Give me a second. I just want to say, Mr. Trafficant, I watched you on yesterday, and I do agree with you. I don't believe that you've done anything, and I just have a question. I don't understand why is it that they can try you and nobody in there can go after the current administration, the Bush administration, for all their ties with this big, with these big corporations. And also, I have to say this: I'm a registered Democrat, but I plan to register as an independent. I think the Democrats are very spineless. They don't stick together. Although I would never vote Republican, the Republicans stick together. I don't care what they'll go on TV. They'll look you straight in the face. They'll hold that lie until the end. The Democrats just will not stick together, and I think they're all really running against each other. And my last comment I wanted to say, I'm not anti-Semitic, but this country is ran, truly, as far as I'm concerned. It looks like the Israelis, the Jewish lobby that they have on our government, they do control a lot. They control our media. They control everything, and they have literally destroyed you. And I just want you to say, I want to say to you, continue to stand for something, or you'll die for nothing. So you go ahead, keep your head up, and you continue to speak out. And that's why people don't like you, because you don't step in, you don't march to the tune. You step out So you keep your head up, okay?
Well, I appreciate it. Let me say this. The Republicans at least will look you in the eye. They do have a program. I don't agree with all of it, but at least when they give you their word has been pretty good, and I think they've done a better job than the Democrats. The Democrats for 50 years, in my opinion, have created all these laws that's caused this problem. I am an independent. Really wasn't independent when I was elected to Congress, but I'm going to tell you something that I think is very important. Yes, I think these big corporations have to be investigated, but I think the tragedy in American history was the treason of Janet Reno, and one of the genesis of my investigation, when she did not investigate that Chinese money from that Red Army general that came directly to the Democrat National Committee to, in fact, influence the outcome of a presidential election, that being the Clinton administration. And I'll tell you what, folks, when we turn our back on that and they're buying submarines, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and you know, if Japan could have reached past Pearl Harbor, they'd have hit New York and Washington. Now we are arming a nation that has more soldiers in China than we have citizens. We've got problems. And I think it's time for the independent-minded people, forget about the party. What's best for America? If it's good for America, vote for it. Quite frankly, the Republicans in the last 6 years have done some very good things for America, and I voted for them. And if they weren't good for America, I wouldn't vote for them. The only disagreement I have with the Republicans is they've taken this free trade so far that it's become giveaway trade, and we have a $300 billion trade surplus. Now, you can't buy more than you sell without going bankrupt. And America has better reconcile its international trade balance before we are held basically hostage to an economy that implodes from within. I think we have a false economy predicated on paper transactions. A lot of these corporations are lying about their value. Their stock is overinflated, and we're going to have one hell of a reconciliation. I don't want to say crash and scare the markets, but we're going to bring things down, and this country's in for a rude awakening. But I will say this, if I'm not in jail, I will be addressing the America First Convention in Florida in August. And I'm going to tell it like it is now. The only thing I do want to say, and I will say this about Israel, we have become so one-sided in the Middle East that the Arab nations have hate us now, and they're starting to export their violence from the Middle East to America. People don't want to hear me say that, because they're saying you're blaming America for 9/11. I think we contributed to that. I think the Palestinian children are God's children, and the Palestinian people deserve a homeland. I give President Bush and Colin Powell especially a lot of credit for saying we must reconcile this, and the Palestinian people should have a homeland. But we just cannot continue to be one-sided. Now, these monarchs and dictators over there in the Arab world who've ripped us off, I think it's time to straighten them out. But I think it's time to have a policy of fairness and not just be one-sided over there before we have a great problem on our hands that emanates from the Middle East.
Warren, Ohio, in the 17th District. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Jim. God bless you.
Thank you.
Now, America, I think, is beginning to realize why we love you so much in this community and why we sent you to Congress over and over again. Because you speak the truth to power, you're unafraid, you're courageous, and you've always been defending the people in this community right from the time you were a sheriff, and you wouldn't foreclose on the homes of laid-off steelworkers. They can take a lot away from you, but they can't take away the fact that you saved that man's life, Demjanjuk, and no other member of Congress I know can say that you have the love of this people. And I think you're going to make more history. I think that you're going to be reelected as an independent no matter what they do to you, because people know you here, Jim, and they love you. And I think it's not just that you're an American hero or patriot. I think you're a prophet. I know that that's probably something that you may reject, but don't forget, after the crucifixion, there's a resurrection. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you for your call coming from home. I get a lot of political dissidents who are always trying to beat me at home, and I don't know if I recognize his voice or not. I think I do. And if it's the fellow that I think it is, he's been a supporter for a long time. But he also espouses that same type of humanity and has always worked with people and lifted them all along. And if I think it's Werner, I'm not sure. But I want to just say this to you. I appreciate the people from back home who stood with me through some very tough times. But, you know, there's several things that we must remember about our country. That if you violate the rights of one, you endanger the rights of all. And the Justice Department knew that Demjanjuk was not Ivan 2 years before they took his citizenship away. And everybody says to me, well, then why did they do it? They did it because of the great sensational headlines and put a man on death row. And I discovered the fact that the real Ivan was 9 years older, black hair, not blonde, long scar on neck. And then I got a photograph. And the photograph said the small guy on the right is Takchuk with the pistol. The tall man on the left is the man the Jewish prisoners feared the most, Ivan Grozny, Ivan Marchenko. And it was not a picture of Demjanjuk. The Israeli Supreme Court taught me something. I want the people to know this. Israel said, he is not Ivan. Congressman, take him home. They actually delivered him to me, and I was out there when he came up that ramp, standing out there, and Demjanjuk walked up those steps. And his eyes were this big when he saw me. And I put him on that El Al flight and took him home, and he didn't leave my side. And I want to tell you something. Leave John Demjanjuk alone. Leave that man alone now. Since I was on trial, another ploy of the Justice Department is they brought him out for some other offense. First of all, they had me involved with a murder scheme to ruin the jury pool. And this fellow that calls, no, I'm not involved in any murders. Then they had me involved in a $150,000 barn. And the guy had a conscience. Henry Nemitz, he came up to me and confided in me, Jim, they pressured me to say this. I don't want to get indicted. I don't want to lose my business. I'm sorry I did this. I had a witness, gave me an affidavit. Next day I taped his girlfriend who confided that Henry called her and told her this. So that wasn't a part of the charge. Everything against me was hearsay. And I'll tell you what, I don't like what they did to Jim Kircham. And one of the witnesses in my case, Mike Terlecki. Listen to this, Peter. He's a retired deputy sheriff with a disability. His father is in very ill health. He just got a notice from the IRS that he owes $140,000 in back taxes. Now listen to what I'm saying. If the IRS messes with Michael Beef Terlecki, I'm going to come to the IRS office and kick your ass personally. And if you mess with Brian Kidwell, another witness, by going to his employer and trying to scare him and intimidate him, including his son, I'm going to visit you personally, FBI. And I also prove with my investigation, like in Boston, there was a connection between the FBI in Youngstown and the mob. The mob paid off the FBI in Youngstown for years and covered it up just like they did in Boston. And my God, we had a FBI director by the name of Hoover testified before the Senate, said there's no mafia in America. This is nothing but a fairy tale. And the truth of the matter is the mafia had him in pictures of drag, dressed as a woman, and compromised J. Edgar Hoover. And I think Hoover's name should be taken off the damn FBI building. We should put Martin Luther King Jr.'s name on the thing, Robert Kennedy's name on it, Oliver North's on it, put an American on it that's a patriot. And that's exactly the way I feel. I don't trust our government. You're listening to a member of Congress, not here for long. I came here not trusting them. I still don't trust them. And that's not the Congress. I don't trust what they tell us, and I think there's more propaganda here than ever was in the old Soviet Union.
Jim Traficant is currently serving his 9th term. He was first elected in 1984. We're going to take these two calls back to back, and then we'll let Congressman Traficant conclude. Delavan, Wisconsin, Republican. Good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Traficant, I got to tell you, if there's anything I'd like to do, it'd be to be standing right there at your side, swinging with you, because, man, you have presented your case, in my estimation. You're the only one that's ever had common sense in the whole damn Congress. But I want to say this. Hasn't the government handed you great appeal issues there by not allowing your witnesses, or haven't they handed you at least reversible error for that reason?
You know,
and let me, if I could, Congressman, I'll take this next call, and then we'll let you comment on both. Go ahead, Los Angeles, Democrat.
Yes, Congressman, I watched the C-SPAN stuff yesterday on you, and I applaud you. I think that what they're doing is outrageous, and but it's very typical. I don't know, you realize that the Justice Department has been targeting people for a really long time, and I had a couple of questions. If you had looked into the Frubenchen cases and also the stuff that happened to Lewis, because it's exactly the same crap that's been going on for a long time.
Send it to me. Send it to me, even though I may not be there longer, to the Rayburn Building, Jim Traficant of Washington, D.C., on a second question, and thank you. For the first fellow who wants to stand by my side, you are standing by my side, because I'm standing by your side, and we should all stand up together. On a appealable issue, my life is in the hands of judges. Judges appointed to lifetime terms, and I'm going to close with this. Thomas Jefferson once made the greatest quote, and I'm not a historian. He said, beware the appointment of federal judges for lifetime terms, because they can take the Constitution and mold it like clay in their hands. God bless juries. Now, the jury didn't hear 9 of my witnesses that were not allowed to testify. Now, the Ethics Committee won't let my witness testify to rebut the hearsay that convicted me. So I don't hold much hope, quite frankly, and much faith in an aristocratic judiciary in America that holds themselves and can only lose their job one way, by having the FBI or IRS come and check them out. We have a hell of a catch-22 with a dog chasing its own tail in America, and we better straighten this mess out. Now, I don't know what I could do about it. I am prepared to go to jail. I truly expect that. They're going to take every single thing that I have. They have targeted me, and yes, we have political prisoners in America, and I'm going to make this statement. You are now being addressed by a political prisoner that will be serving in some jail. And you know what? I, quite frankly, Scarlett, don't give a damn, because I would rather go to jail and even die in jail than admit to something that I didn't do. And I had no intent to break the laws as they portrayed them, as they created a paper trail that was unbelievable. That I just can't believe that on a RICO case, a man is convicted on hearsay. And you believe that the way they wanted me, that they had no wiretaps, they had no hidden microphones. You know they had them. You watch television. Everything on them was probably helpful to Jim Traficant. So I am hot. Look, I'm really hot. I don't know how much time we have left, so don't upset me anymore.
Well, I just wanted to ask, will today be the last
probably
day of the hearing?
Yeah,
You'll be calling
I
two
think
witnesses.
It'll be over today, yeah, and then they'll probably go to the floor. They might report it out tonight, go to the floor tomorrow, probably vote me out. I don't hold anything bad against the Congress. Some of the Congress I really love, guys like Bill Arrakis, Joe Skeen, Bill Young, Murtha. I've met people there, Dan Burton, Coble. One of the fellows on the committee, Steve LaTourette, I love him dearly, and he's tried to give me a fair shot, and I'll always love him when he's president. He better go ahead and pardon me. But many of the members I love, many of the members and Democrats don't like me because, you know, I didn't vote to seat Sanchez. I was only a Democrat, and she's come after me. But the reason I did had nothing to do with Sanchez. I don't think that possible illegal votes should have determined the outcome of a federal election. And I'm not so sure if there was enough illegal votes cast out there in California to defeat Dornan. And I voted along with Dornan, not because I just supported Dornan. I think Dornan is a fiery guy, and he stood up for America, was not afraid to speak his mind. But I thought there were illegal votes cast in that election in a new dynamics in America where people are jumping the fence, and they're being organized and taken to the polls and voting, perhaps, and not being eligible registered voters. And it boiled down to about 700 votes, and I thought that was too close. And I think Congress should not allow that type of a precedent to be set in a federal election. I thought we should investigate it. So you see, I've tried to vote my conscience. And the only vote that I regret was a vote on Elsie Hastings. Elsie Hastings was impeached by Congress. John Conyers, a respectable black Democrat leader from Detroit, come out and said we should impeach him. And I was not going to vote because I didn't want to vote to impeach Elsie Hastings as a judge. But I didn't want to go home with all this mob stuff they have on me, and I don't get a good article in the newspaper, and say, look at Traficant, he votes for this judge. So I went along with the mob. That's one vote I wish I had back, because Elsie now is a member of Congress. He's a great member of Congress, and evidently was targeted because he was a damn good judge. And I wish I had that vote back.